Hello, 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 and welcome to the commentary zone. As you enter the room, please don't forget to give us a little thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, the notification bell, tell a friend. Okay, y'all, this is a doozy. Okay, so we're doing 3 episodes of The Family Chantel.
Shit.
Damn it. Why doesn't
I'm
this
gonna
open?
tell y'all
Okay.
now. I'm gonna tell y'all
Mm-hmm.
right now. These 3 episodes should have been at most an hour and 10 minutes.
Oh, God. All right, y'all.
That's
So
all
we're
I got for
doing
y'all.
Season 5 of The Family Chantel. Episode 4 is called Fortune's Fool. Episode
Hmm.
5 is called A Plague on Both Your Houses. And episode 6 is called Parting is Such Sweet Sorrow. So those are the episode titles. Let's let's get the ball rolling.
What ball?
Okay.
The
Lord,
square
it's
one that didn't go anywhere?
oh Lord. So in episode 3, what did we see? Okay.
Nothing.
Well, we found out that Winter is going to do a tryout for a plus size modeling gig.
Who we've never heard of.
But my thing is, why you get weight loss surgery to become a plus size model? That was my only takeaway from
But
it.
here's the
But
thing though,
whatever.
for her frame, and her structure, plus size modeling is where she should be. But here's my whole thing with that.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't care.
I know I didn't.
Now we have seen Naomi Campbell like doing the photo shoot or somebody famous. I had cared, but this was filler. Like we didn't need that part.
The Naomi Campbell will not be gracing this show with her exalted presence. So
But
no.
Winter did look good though. I'm not gonna sit here and take that away from her. She looked it good, and per usual with these scenes, we see too much of Karen.
Mhm. Oh my god, and her overacting.
Yeah.
Um, but whatever. I kind of gloss over her. Then we head down to Dominican Republic. Is this where he hooks up with Karima? No, this is where he has the date with the girl that looked just like Chantel. Bus. How Nicole set her up with him? That didn't make
No,
any
that was
sense.
last. That was the episode before.
That was
The date was
so
the
then.
episode before.
It
Yeah.
was okay. So then, what are we doing down in DR?
I think. Oh, this is where Lydia. I think this is the episode where Lydia comes back home after spending the night with Scott the first time. Because
No.
yeah,
Wait,
because
hold on.
yeah,
Oh, this is episode 3. What am I
yeah.
doing? Hold on. Where's episode 4? I have too many notes. Ugh.
Debbie, that just tells you they all run together.
Okay. Yeah, so she's at the photo shoot in New York. Whatever. And Chantel says she's not gonna go and entertain any foolery with Alejandro. They could go by themselves. She goes on a date with Scott. Too many people named Scott. Just saying.
Yeah.
Um, Next we see Lydia doing the walk of shame back home from staying over with Scott.
But here's my whole thing with the Scott situation with
Mm-hmm.
Chantel's date. I
Mm-hmm.
don't understand. I'm gonna be mean for
Mm-hmm.
just a quick second.
Mm-hmm.
This must not have been a good friend of yours. Here's why. When you got Drakes and ballers in your DMs, why would she set you with Scott who took you to the pool hall? Uh,
Because he's on the production team and
uh,
they got him to do it.
okay. Oh, because the real suitors wouldn't come on Okay, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. See, this is why I need Debbie. When I go off the deep end of using logic, she always brings me back to the real, the obvious. Thank you, Debbie. This is why I appreciate you so much because I was sitting here like, I was confused with Scott, but now with this, it made sense. Thank you. Appreciate you. Okay.
Okay, this shit.
But
I
I
did
do
the
like the
wrong
fact that
thing.
Chantel understands her worth now. Because like she walked in,
It took her long enough.
she walked And she walked in and let old boy know straight up, I'm a nurse. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas
Mm-hmm.
before, I always felt with Chantel like she would downplay herself because of how Pedro made her feel, if that makes sense.
Uh-huh.
So when she walked in, she's like, "Well, I'm a nurse." I'm like, "This is what I'm talking about." Thank you, Chantel. Understand your worth and what you actually bring to the table.
She was directing that conversation though, and she didn't like any of the answers that he gave. I I don't think that she was actually attracted to him at all. That's just my thing. I think she was surprised he was white.
I think so too. I think so too.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. We see a stupid scene about them getting ready for something. Wait. Um, I didn't care about this episode. This was just full of
Yeah,
drivel.
right.
Um, we see down in the Dominican Republic, Nicole is filling in Pedro on what a loser Scott is, and they can't believe that their mother is giving him a second chance. I guess. Oh Lord. Um. Okay, Lydia refuses to believe that Scott has sex with the Colombian girl. Why?
Hmm.
I found that incredible. But she's going against her kids because she wants to try and find true love. I don't know why she picked Scott to do that, but
Right.
okay. And then we see Scott threatening to just have sex with Lydia, um, indiscriminately, whether the kids like it or not. See, this I wasn't for. I like Scott needs to be purged off of TLC. We see Karen and Winter waiting for someone who's never going to show up, and
Hmm.
that is Alejandro. We find out later that he spoke with the private investigator and said that he spoke with Nicole, and Nicole told him not to say anything to Karen and her family, and that was it. Um, and Karen calls him a fucking bitch. Okay, great. They go. Is this where they go and they meet? Pedro, Lydia, and Nicole go and meet with Scott.
I'm gonna say yes. 'Cause like I said, these all ran together, and I didn't care.
Well, Nicole, as usual, just starts screaming, cursing at this man, um, and basically embarrassing her mother in a public place. She actually she goes to toss water at Scott, but it all lands on Lydia because Pedro got up and like messed with her arm.
Hmm.
So the aim went off course. That was kind of funny. Just saying. But yeah, that was it. I didn't care.
Yeah, me neither.
What else happened on this episode?
Oh, Scott's
Chantel
gonna
and
have
Winter.
vengeance. Scott,
Huh?
is this the one where Scott said, "I'm gonna have vengeance sex," or is that the third episode?
It no, this one he said indiscriminate sex with
Okay,
her. The
gotcha.
vengeance
Vengeance
sex
is
is next
episode three,
episode,
right?
I think.
Okay,
Yeah. Um, we see Chantel having a conversation with her sister with regards to starting over. She says she spent the last decade with Pedro. She wasted so much time. She needs to find a man because she wants this picture perfect marriage with a home, white picket fence, kids. But she's already 32
oh,
and
is
she's
that
thinking about freezing her eggs.
I thought that was with River. Remember, River and her went walking with the dog, and she was telling
She said it with
Winter too,
oh
right?
wait, yeah, but with regards to her being lonely.
Okay, so with River, I thought that conversation, like when she laid it out, I was like, "Oh, you're 30. Yeah, ma'am, you're 32. Yeah, I get
Mm-hmm.
it." I forget that she's that old, to be completely honest. I really do. I'm like, damn, 32 plus 4 years. Yeah, men do take about 4 to 5 years to get married. Yeah, you know,
I'm
I
freaking
really
up
felt for
this.
her. I
This review
felt
is
for her.
horrible.
I felt for her. But
You
River,
did?
the reason when you want, I'll put it this way: the women I know who
Mm-hmm.
wanted children,
Mm-hmm.
this is the conversations I would have with them. They're like, this is where I'm at because as men, sometimes we don't see the timeline because we don't have one. As long as stuff is still swimming, we can make babies. We could be dead as long as you have our sperm. We good to go. But women,
Mm-mm.
that's not the case. There is a quote unquote expiration date. So I felt her because
Mm-hmm.
she wanted children and wants children. So, ma'am, I understand. And River, I understand. He's like, don't just jump in to any with any man. Don't do that. I agree with him there. But he also needs to say, like, hey, I understand where you are.
Mm-hmm. I thought in this particular season, Winter really not Winter, River really stepped up. Um, he's gotten a little bit heftier, but I thought he was. I thought, unlike Nicole as a sibling, who's
Mm,
always like a yapping chihuahua, making things worse. Like, this is what I want to see a supportive sibling do with regards to Winter and River. Why she can't name these children something normal? River and Chantel. Now that I've got that out.
mhm.
Yes. That's what I really was impressed with the way how he handled himself. That's all I got to say. Um
Oh, and this. Oh, and also for me in this episode, the one thing I'm gonna. Sorry.
mhm.
Okay, I'm gonna put it this
Ouch.
way.
Mhm.
Having done when I was in school many moons ago, and I had to write papers, and like one of the papers I wrote was on New Orleans and the religion of voodoo. I'm like, you don't play with that kind of stuff. I'm very like, you don't play with any kind of religion.
Mhm.
I was offended for the people who practice. I was like, you do not play with that kind of stuff. And I'm looking at the shopkeeper owner type person. I'm like, sir, why would you even entertain that? Like, no. No, 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 no. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Mhm.
I did not like that. It's not funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Um I don't know. You were talking about the voodoo, right?
Right.
I think that that was more gimmicky. Um they were having a lot of fun with it. I don't think it brought anything to the story.
It didn't, but when you here's a this is and I always stand on this point. No, I don't care what your religion is, who you worship, whatever. But
Mhm.
you never use parts of religion in any sort of ceremonial type things as
Mhm.
fodder or to play with. You just don't. And even them even doing that, I'm like, y'all, like, oof. If bad stuff happens to you, this is gonna be why. You just don't do it.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
I met people in my over my years who actually practice. I'm sitting there like, I know you're trying to be funny and scare these people, but this is not the way you do it. Like, I won't need y'all to watch The Godfather, and maybe put like a dead frog's head in a box or a pig's heart. I'm gonna need you to do something like that, but not religious type things. No,
But that's the Santeria though. That's part of their stuff.
like I said, okay.
That's that's part of the Santeria. All it was missing was the candles.
But once I saw what they were doing, though, I'm like, you. So first of
Mhm.
all, you're using like a ballpoint pen. You don't use
Mhm.
that, and you're using like white paper. I'm like, yeah, that's not parchment paper, but okay. Like y'all are really just. I I was offended, but yeah, I can't even take it seriously.
Right, but
Just knowing what goes into it.
we also know that a real person who's doing Santeria is not going to appear on TV. Um, they got a bargain basement person and paid the bargain basement package voodoo, you know, ship out price. Like, it
Mhm.
was jokey. It was jokey, but again, it added nothing to the
To the story,
storyline.
right?
Um, at the end of this episode, we see after that disastrous meeting down on the playa, um, Nicole went and got a friend to videotape Scott at the pool giving out his number and chatting up
Right.
all of these women. Sent the videos to Pedro. Pedro's at the gym, invites Scott over to get an explanation and to show him the videos. He was acting amped up. Scott came in, amped up too, but then was like backing down, saying, "Wait, are you serious about this? Like, calm down. What are you doing?" And next thing you know, they are hugging each other and spinning around, and production has to step in to separate them. That's how I
Well,
saw that.
it was fake because had Scott had got a hold of Pedro, had Scott really wanted to do some damage to Pedro, he would have just done it. So that's just my opinion on that one. It was to me, it was just more of a meh,
Mm-hmm.
nothing to really see.
But I didn't like how Scott was like spitting out all those nasty derogatory words towards Pedro. That, well, I don't like Scott on a regular, but it just sent him back down a few more notches. He could leave. But this is where Scott says, out of spite, he will have sex as much as he wants with their mother, and they're going to know about it too. That's how he ends off the episode, like a true trash box. Then we go over to episode 5, which is a plague on both your houses. This is where Chantel and River go for a walk with the dog, and they talk about, her limited time left and freezing eggs and yada, yada, yada. Scott is back at the hotel with the ice pack and getting ready to lie to Lydia, saying that Pedro punched him in his head.
Right.
Little did he know, Lydia think this is funny and that men are fighting over her and she just loving it. And he's like, say what now? he's gotta he's gotta rework the strategy, and invites her upstairs, and he says, let's make some bad decisions together so that we can tell Pedro about it later. And this is where he says that that this is pure vengeance sex, and this one is for you, Pedro. Well, he's just making himself so interesting. We see Lydia waiting for Pedro to come home. Um, and she asked him about the fight that Scott told her about. And Pedro's so like, you only taking his side and you're not taking my side. He tells her what happened. He pulls out the videos and shows her. And of course, Lydia, the woman with no heart, all of a sudden has a broken heart again. But okay. She calls him a vulgar charlatan. Um, she says to Pedro that she gave Scott an opportunity, but he doesn't deserve it. She says, send her the videos to her phone. She wants to talk with Scott, and she won't let him get away with it. What's done is done.
Right. Pretty much.
Um, Hi everybody in the chat. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Chantel meets up with Obed at a restaurant, and he basically rehashes what he told her a few seasons ago. But now she's actually taking it in because she's divorced. Okay, so they were laughing at her, saying that her Spanish wasn't that great and that she was ugly. When Nicole been telling you that you ugly from day A, but yet she's doing every plastic surgery to look like you.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't even pay these people any attention, to be quite honest. But she sits there crying as usual, saying that she doesn't understand how she missed all the signs. We don't need to spell this out for you.
Right.
We see Lydia going over to Scott's hotel to confront him about the videos and what Pedro told her. She says that she gave him 2 chances and this has happened. She says that he's fat and ugly and that the sex wasn't that great. She says that any woman that sleeps with him is exposed to STDs. And he says, as a rebuttal, you just lay there and don't do anything. And it shows that you haven't had sex for 12 years.
They were going
And
in.
and the
They was going in.
the Colombian sex was much better. Lydia calls him a bastard. And she heads back home to find Pedro. They discuss the meeting with Scott. Pedro said, I guess Pedro's happy that she's disengaged from him. He says that she's a good woman, but when it comes to men, she makes terrible decisions. Look at his dad, and now look at Scott. Pedro tells Lydia about how Chantel's family contacted him. Karen and family about how Karen has been trying to get in touch with Alejandro, and he tells his mom that Karen has been trying to get him deported for a year. And this is where Lydia and Nicole go to the voodoo store to put together a package to send off to Chantel and her family. I kind of tuned out after that because I didn't care. And next we have is episode 6, Parting is Such Sweet Sorrow. The voodoo box arrives in Atlanta. I wonder how I got through customs, but I digress. Chantel is kind of skeeved out at first. They wind up burning it on the deck. Ever vigilant Thomas said, I'm gonna need y'all to move that from so close to the house.
Right? Good job, Thomas. Like, that's when you speak up.
It's little things like that I find a source of joy as opposed to the rest of the drivel of this series. But this is where Chantel gets really upset, and she's going to the Dominican Republic to tell them to leave her family alone. And Karen decides that in burning the voodoo box, she is also returning the voodoo back to whence it came from. What? Oh, God. We could have been spared that. Right. Let's see. Chantel and River get to the DR. That was the fastest trip ever. Okay. And she tells him in the taxi that she appreciates him coming with her. And again, I was interested in that because it seemed sort of real. She says that all she wants to do is say everything that she has in her heart to Pedro to give her closure. River starts babbling on, like he channeled Karen talking about kings and queens coming down to the peasants, and I didn't care. I didn't listen to it. It was irritating. And the next day, we see Chantel going out in this little garden area with a cup of tea and some booty shorts and her pum-pum hanging out. And she says that she didn't get much sleep, but she calls Pedro. So we see a FaceTime call between the two of them. And she commands him and his family to come and meet her.
I was just like, what?
I command you.
I was there like, she's like lost her mind. Okay.
Yeah, basically. She calls him pathetic, a predator. She says that he's nothing. She tells him that she changed his life, and if it wasn't for her, he would be standing barefoot in a dirt road at the campo eating chicken feet. Pedro doesn't really want to meet her, but he agreed because he wants to tell her that and her family to F off. Pedro knows that Chantel is there to fight, and he knows that his sister puts gasoline onto the flames. Okay. Um, in this episode, Nicole got a mask on her face because she said that she had some oral surgery with her palate and pulled out teeth or something like that. I guess the braces didn't work. Or maybe she just have too much teeth in her mouth, or her teeth are too big for her mouth. I don't know what's happening. But I agree with Chantel. Yay, she's got on a muzzle. Okay. But if she has surgery on her palate or something like that, shouldn't she be careful how much air she lets in her mouth? I
Because
just
I agree, because any little bit of air would irritate your mouth and it would be painful, I would think.
yeah. But okay, we gonna roll with it. Okay, so next thing you know, oh, at Pedro's house, everybody in the house is getting ready, and Karen calls on a block number to Lydia. And of course, Nicole starts going ham. I wish Nicole knew her place, because she didn't call you, she called Lydia, because
Right.
she's trying to have grown woman conversation. Um, I Nicole. I never mind. Um, but Karen explains that she called them because Karen's not down there, but Karen, by placing that call, has put herself into their mind. And so, therefore, nothing will happen to her children that are there. Um, okay, it really sounded like Karen's dealing with the voodoo.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, I digress. At the hotel, we see Chantel and River getting ready, and they're heading out to go and meet up at this restaurant. Um, Pedro and his family. Oh, I didn't want to see that. I'm jumping.
Mm-hmm.
Um, River and Chantel get to the outdoor restaurant. It seems like they're in this big plaza or square, and they start doing a sage of the table and sprinkling holy water on all of the seats per Karen. So again, who's doing the voodoo? But okay. Karen is combating the DR voodoo with her own stuff, and they're taking it very seriously, following Mama's orders. We see Pedro and his posse strutting in. This is where I determined, because this is how interested I was in this. I determined that I feel that Lydia got a booty enhancement. That's just my opinion, but I wish that she had sucked more fat out of her fupa to put in her booty, but she could go back next time and figure that out. So they all get there, they sit down. There's some back and forth between Chantel and Nicole with regards to her muzzle. That Lydia was very quiet. I think River opened it up, he said that he considered the voodoo box disrespectful, and Pedro says that he considers her family disrespectful or something like that. Anyway, there was a lot of back and forth arguing. Chantel got to say her piece and say that he was cheating on her with Karima and two women from the real estate office, that he never loved her, that he used her, and um, yeah, she got to say everything she needed to say. Pedro was looking sort of sincere when he said that he did love her. but she brought up his proposal letter. So he had written out something in Spanish, and on the other side it
Hmm.
was English. And Obed had told her that somebody else had wrote that for him. He said that he wrote it, but his English was really bad, so he needed help with the translation. But she doesn't believe it anymore, and that was like the foundation of their relationship, so that was destroyed. um she just doesn't believe anything that he has to say. He says that he was a bad husband, and he apologized for anything that he did to her, for everything that he did to her. And she refused to accept his apology, and then started breaking down and crying and asked production to stop filming. So they automatically started filming her.
Good old production.
um, um, River got up and said, just man to man, how would you feel if somebody did this to your mom or your sister? Like, this was wrong. And he did say in a confessional that if he had the opportunity to go back in time, he would have stopped the wedding.
Right.
Because remember, Chantel talked him out of it.
Hmm.
So he goes over to Chantel and tells her, come on, let's just walk away. You've said your piece. Let's just walk away and start fresh. So he takes his sister and they get out of there. We see Pedro and his family in the car. And Pedro is like, she never listens to me. She never believed me. And she never understood me. Um, at the hotel, River gives Chantel some tissues and tell her to call mom and give her an update. And basically, she's like, let's go home. Back in the car, Pedro says he can't believe that she said that he was with her for the money. And Nicole said, well, she ain't had no money. He said in the beginning, they didn't have any money, which is true. That's why they were on this show.
Hmm.
But he said that he worked for money and gave it to her and helped her get a master's. Um, so, and that's what they do to immigrants. Well, sweetheart, both of y'all was on this show. Both of y'all was making money. Both you and her were profiting and enjoying all of the um promotional items, the sponsorships, the vacations. Both of
Hmm.
you were enjoying that, and she was hustling to do that because when nobody asking you to promote nothing.
Right.
Um. So then we see.
She was like, she was legit. She was. Let's call a thing a thing, and this is where I
Mhm,
have an issue. This part right here.
mhm,
He could have left out, and here's why. When you start talking about what you do for somebody, um, you open up the door for people to pick it apart. And I'm gonna pick this apart
mhm,
right now as evidence of
mhm,
Chantel being on a single life.
mhm,
No one was checking for you, Pedro. Without Chantel, and I would say to an extent her family,
mhm,
you wouldn't have the life that you have
mhm,
now, because Chantel was always going to go to school to become a nurse. That's obvious. That's clear.
She
But
started that before she got
right,
married to him. Mhm,
but would you be a realtor without Chantel? And that's where you have to. That's where you kind of
mhm.
leave that kind of thing alone, because again, no one's checking for you, not at all.
Ryan, that's a valid point. They were married. They were supposed to support each other. He
Right.
kept on saying that she never supported him. I don't think that's true because as soon as she finally graduated after like 15 years
Mhm.
of going through school, um, she said to him, don't you want to go to school? It's your turn. And he said, no, he won't be a realtor. So
Yes.
who fault that is?
Right.
He won't be a realtor and play video games. Okay, so you
And it's
made your
interesting.
decision.
And it's interesting how he all of a sudden wants to play up the whole immigrant status.
Mm-hmm.
I just found that very interesting and disrespectful to like all immigrants. That's just my personal take on it. And
Mm-hmm.
it's clear that you come from the family you come from based on your
Mm-hmm.
actions now.
Mm-hmm.
Based on your actions, because it's one thing to like hold down the house and work while your partner's in school. That's commendable. That's great.
Mhm.
But it's another thing when you kind of fall out and then you want to throw it in their face. So basically you didn't do it with the purest of intentions. You did it to get something out of it.
Exactly, and it was half of that 200 and how much? 220
60,
200,000.
60.
No, she took out $50,000. So it was
No, 60.
200. She
It was
took out
260.
60.
She took out 60, I believe.
All right, so he got half of $205,000. So you damn straight wasn't getting that in Dominican Republic barefoot down at the campo.
Right.
So
So
all of
he
them
could left that
years
whole.
hustling in the warehouse, it
Mhm.
paid off, boo.
Right. Big time.
Mm-hmm. So then we see the introduction of not the but to me, it seemed like it was segueing into the
Right.
introduction of the single life, where she said, this is her new, she finally, wait, hold on. She felt triggered, and it shows by how toxic the relationship was, and that she finally has closure. This is her new beginning. Um, Thomas and Karen said some bullshit, but I didn't really pay attention to that. Um, Karen says that she did Pedro a favor by bringing him over to the States, and he used her. Chantel and River decide to pack and head back to the United States, where she immediately started filming The Single Life. And
Hmm.
there you go. That was it. At least they had no kids. That's
I
very
agree.
true. Yeah. And we thank Pedro for that because he kept on stopping her.
And like my thing with Chantel is there's a lot of red flags. There's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
red flags. But
Mm-hmm.
as soon as he told you that he wasn't sure when he kept pushing off kids that he wasn't sure he wanted to have children,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that's when he that was when he was plotting to get up out of there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh my God. But yeah, that was the season,
And
y'all.
wasn't that at the 5 year mark? Just asking.
Yeah. Well, it was just after, because I think it was
Right.
7 in total, because he was
Hmm.
mad that she didn't tell him that the 5 years was up. Well, you must have been having a good time if you couldn't count to 5 all on your own.
Right. And where was your mom and sister? Never mind.
I'm sure they celebrated their 5th year anniversary.
Mm,
They
true.
probably went on a trip. Compliments of
Good point.
Chantel.
Good point.
Anywho, that was the season. How many of y'all are gonna watch The Single Life?
I'm just gonna watch it because it seems messy. I ain't gonna lie.
I
I'm
want Pedro
intrigued.
to pop up on this because it seems like it's a lot of couples, like Tim and Veronica are on
Hmm.
there, and Tyree and Debbie from Morocco that went to Morocco for that dude that was the artist. Chantel, Natalie. Why are we seeing
Well,
Natalie
now,
again?
Natalie, while she's still legally married to Mike. Okay.
Who's in a heavy relationship with somebody else? It's
Right.
just weird. It's just weird.
Oh, I'm I'm just gonna watch this shit. It should be messy. You got Veronica dating Kimbali's son. Yeah, when I saw that, yeah, I gotta watch it. I gotta watch it. It's gonna
Mhm.
be a pure mess.
Okay, I agree with you. I really have no interest in Natalie or Debbie. None.
You know who I'm
Zero.
interested in? Bring on Mike's mama. Is she single? Trish?
No, she need a new hairstyle. No. And she borderline violent. No. She can stay where she at. She'll she'll punch a horse. No.
Oh,
No. Tracy
okay.
says I'm watching, of course. Good Lord.
Oh
Tyra
my
is telling people
gosh.
that he do not know um that he was catfit.
Mm-mm.
Tyra was dropped on his head as a child. Will Tyra get catfish again? Let's hope so. Hopefully by Natalie.
I can't stand
He
you. I can't stand you.
trying his best to be the new Caesar, but you're not
Yeah.
that interesting. Like you can't even do
Okay.
nails.
I'm gonna say it like this. What if the special guest is Asuelu?
No, he got deported.
Oh, you got deported already?
He forgot to do his paperwork.
didn't. Oh,
That's what I
gotcha,
heard. That's what I heard. Y'all are
gotcha.
gonna have to like put it in the comment section. I might be completely wrong, but I heard that he got deported because he forgot to submit his paperwork.
Ugh. He'd have been
Yeah.
great on this. Sorry.
Remember Trish got that tenant she was screwing. Who's Trish?
Uh, oh, Mike's mama.
Oh, yeah, the dude
Yeah.
that lives with her. Okay, yeah. Okay. Tyree needs to find a prison wife. Then move him over to
Live after
love during
lockup.
lockup. No, we need
Yeah.
love during lockup because he's that dumb.
True.
He wouldn't survive love after lockup because they'll run away from him. Anyhow, y'all, that is the season six. This was a capsule season. That's what I'm calling it. I'm just being fancy. This was six stupid episodes. Forgive me, because I was getting ready to say that word again. Um, this was a drain on my brain. And I'm just really pissed that we didn't see the divorce part.
At least it's over with. Yay.
It's all done. It's all done. And we'll be starting 1,000 Pound Sisters. Okay. We'll catch up with 2 episodes next week.
Right.
All right, y'all. Thanks for hanging in there with us. Thank you again for your patience while we took a little break. But join us back here next week for some more. It was so bad it felt like more than 6 episodes. Yes. I could feel the gray hair growing into my head watching this shit.
When I saw it was over, I cheered.
Well,
I cheered.
honestly, they need to do something with regards to ending, like season endings.
Hmm.
Like they're really horrible.
They are.
The 250,000 marriage done again. Oh Lord. All right, y'all. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe and come on back next week to play with us here with these stupid little shows. I could have saved my time and watched this instead. You guys made it more interesting in the last 45 minutes for me. Well, we tried to encapsulate everything that happened in the 3 episodes into 45 minutes. So that saves some time. Hopefully.
Right.
Mind you, we were here trying to do work and go through this stupid episodes with you. But thank you for your patience. Thank you for joining us today. Can't wait to see your comments in the comment section for the replay crew. I know I'm severely behind on responses. I will go through them and try to respond to everybody this weekend. And that's it, y'all. Have a great weekend and come on back and play with us next week. Jamal, any final thoughts?
No, we're good.
Okay. Alrighty. So until next time.
Of
Bye,
course.
y'all.